Welcome to the Drop Podcast. I'm your host, Mary Ann Mora, Head of Public Affairs for Sub-Saharan Africa, here today with two powerhouse guests. Joining us in Kenya, we have Ebru Pakcan, Middle East and Africa Cluster and Banking Head and Executive Sponsor of the Banking and International Talent and Engagement Council at Citi, and Jessica Posner, who is the CEO of Girl Effect, one of the Citi Foundation's 2025 Global Innovation Challenge grantees dedicated to improving girls' health, education, and livelihoods. Can you share a specific instance, Ebru, that you've had in your career where you had to quickly adapt to an unexpected challenge, that you needed to demonstrate agility, and how did that experience ultimately help you or your team have a positive outcome?
I actually really had a good example of this, I think. I'm going to take us back to COVID-19 days. Just February 2020, I was appointed in a new role to head up our global trade organization. I was based out of London, and our team is very global, a large group of them sitting in New York, some of them in London, and then many people all around the world. Come March 2020, as we all know, we were all locked in. So before I could actually travel around the world a little bit and meet some of our teams, I was in a new role, in a big global crisis, in a business like trade, and I had no ability to go and meet anyone, neither in our offices in London nor around the world. So I had to actually get to know the team, all the processes we have, all the opportunities, challenges, or even the clients entirely remotely. That required change of everything you know how to do, from a team meeting to a get to know someone one-to-one. But we were able to engage the entire global trade organization on what they thought were the opportunities, what they thought were the things that we need to fix, what they thought were the innovations. And it has been a fantastic experience that you could actually engage everyone in your team.
Yeah.
So it turned out to be a challenge which actually turned into an opportunity for me.
Jessica, I'm sure you have something similar to share with us.
I think a lot of this accelerated by COVID-19. And so increasingly, young people are getting information through their phones. And so as an organization, as a leader, we had a strong track record of reaching millions of girls, but many on the ground or through more traditional media channels. But girls were increasingly looking online, not just for entertainment, but for answers to critical questions about their bodies, about relationships, about the future of work. And I think understanding this shift was really the first aha moment of, first, how do we recognize and name the change in front of us? And then again, an opportunity emerged where we started developing, we've been developing actually since 2018, AI-enabled chatbots that really have allowed us to develop new capabilities to reach young people and young women where they are, increasingly online. The community center of the old day is becoming this thing. And so while there's a lot of challenges, dangers, risks to that, there are also opportunities, especially for equity and access. For me, this experience really brought to life what agility looks like.
So in your leadership journey, what's one conventional expectation you've intentionally challenged or redefined? And what impact did that have on your approach to shaping the future?
Such a good question. I think so often in development and change work, we really approach issues in silos. So we're like, this is economic empowerment, and this is health, and this is nutrition. And I think just something that we know is young people, young women do not live their lives in silos. A girl doesn't wake up and say, oh, today is the day that I think about my health, and tomorrow it's my economic empowerment day, and Thursday is my nutrition management day. It doesn't work that way. No. And I think that that's unfortunately how so much funding and programming is structured. So, what we really have tried to rewrite and rewire the narrative on is that it's all interconnected. We're human beings. Health affects education. Education affects income. Income affects agency, which affects if a young woman gets pregnant, when she gets pregnant. It's all like interconnected. And so I think that realization and that rewiring, that if a girl is under financial pressure, everything falls out. She can't buy menstrual hygiene products. She can't afford contraception. She misses school during her period. Her absences add up. She drops out. Her family's under more financial pressure. So it's interconnected, and each of these fallbacks makes that girl's dream every step further and further out of reach. So I think for us, it's not looking at one piece of the puzzle, but it's how do we bring together health support, economic empowerment, financial skills, and also, very important, how do we provide narratives and examples? Because I really truly believe you can't be what you can't see.
And so for Ebru, what does that question around rewriting expectation look like for you in your world?
As I've grown, through my career, a lot of which was spent. One of the questions that you often get as a female leader is, how are you taking care of your family? How did that growing your family, gelling with and developing your career? Early on, the questions would have always been about, but what about your partner? What about your spouse? Especially as we moved around, people wanted to understand, so what type of work is he doing? So how is he able to cope with all of this?
Yeah.
But what has been even more interesting, I don't have any kids, and it's a decision that we made. We just did not want to have any children. What has been so interesting to me is that I get more questions about why I don't have kids. Is it because of my career? Than what is my spouse doing, and are we able to actually grow two careers? So the point that I'm trying to get to is, as we know in society, there are certain expectations which are so built in that you're married, you have to have kids, right? So you just have to be always talking about how you're brought up in your family, and the moment you mention that you don't, the immediate expectation is, oh, that must be because you were so busy with your career, you couldn't do that. And it's like, no, we just did not want to have children. What I'm seeing, however, in the society is things are changing.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
The female talent who's sort of graduating from schools and thinking about what they want to do with their career, their expectations from life, work, life, family, parenthood are going to be very, very different. I did not do this intentionally, but I'm actually glad to see that change is going to happen, and probably in the next few decades, people are not going to get the questions that I had to get.
Yes.
And hopefully they're going to sort of, rise above that.
Yes. You've led through multiple market cycles and geographies. What's one leadership habit you had to unlearn to stay effective as the future of banking evolved?
As a leader, you get accustomed, or you think people expect that you will have the answers, right? An issue happens, you will know how to manage that. A opportunity comes, you will lead the teams in terms of this is exactly what we need to do, right? And maybe it is one of those social norms, which I must say has been really changing over time, but there's an expectation that the leader leads. What you have to unlearn as you move from being a manager, when it is probably true because you're maybe managing a desk or a certain department, and therefore you develop the technical knowledge, and oftentimes 90% of the time you may really be actually guiding the team in terms of what needs to be done. But as you become more senior, and as you move from more manager roles into leader roles, there is that time where you simply do not know. You have no idea. The teams actually know because they have the technical expertise. And you have to really unlearn to try to find the answers yourself and actually ask more questions rather than give more answers. And that is not easy, right? That's like it's like switching a switch, on and off switch.
Yeah.
Because again, you get so used to knowing, so you can be telling, and you're getting to a place where I really don't know, so you guys tell me. Right? I think that has been quite interesting, and I look at how people are growing in the organization, and I see people almost always struggling with that until they kind of understand the difference of leadership versus management.
We can sometimes fixate on perfection, but the ability to embrace and learn from perceived failures is a superpower. Can you recall a time when a significant setback directly illuminated a new and maybe even better path forward?
The reality is, I think it's so easy, especially as women and as leaders, to kind of look like you have it all together all the time, to fixate on that. And I think actually, one thing for me from a leadership perspective that I find really powerful is showing vulnerability. This morning I had a very important meeting. My son was not having a good day. I had taken him to an appointment. He wouldn't get out of the car. He's screaming. And I'm like, okay, I guess you're coming with me to this meeting. And so he's 7. He got out of the car. He had his little audiobook. And he came to a 2-hour meeting and was sitting there in the corner. And I, had a moment where I was like, oh, how am I going to look when I walk into this room and my team and all these people? And I was like, you know what? This is actually strength and leadership, is showing people that you don't always have it all together.
Allies come in all shapes and forms. What's one concrete action you've taken as an ally that requires you to step outside your comfort zone? And what positive ripple effect did it create within your team or organization?
One of the things I said that, everyone expects some sort of a magical answer, right? That there's this magic stick, and or it's like a little pill. If you get this pill, it's going to make you confident, and you're going to be suddenly the perfect networker, you're going to get very visible, and you're going to simply grow in your career. So as an ally, I think the thing that I have now developed is really sort of brutal truth, just the truth. There is no magic stick. For men and women, it requires a lot of hard work, and we can certainly try to help people think that way, but we cannot change them. That's something that every individual is going to have to really develop and believe in themselves. I think the type of work that's Girl Effect and some of other institutions are doing is hugely important, because they are trying to bring those individuals to the opportunities, or bring some of those opportunities to these individuals. But eventually that confidence and self-belief has to be in every individual. So now, honestly, I just sort of brutally tell this to the audiences to say, there is no magic stick. You're going to have to work hard. You're going to have to believe in yourself. And you're going to have to make some choices.
As we wrap up, today reminds us that leading with agility means staying rooted in purpose, learning as we go, and having the courage to adapt. So, as we mark International Women's Day, ask yourself, where do I need to be more agile in my leadership? Let's keep the conversation going and shape the future together.